Iets gediend.
For the past 1.5 years, our group has been working on the beginnings of a Star Wars fan film trilogy.
So one day when Jan and I drove back from college, he wanted to participate at the SaberCon 2022 contest, which was in about 2 weeks. So we made a little short film, knowing that for next year we wanted to make something really special. So the night that we finished Fall of the Apprentice, the 5 of us started thinking of that new short film. And at the end of the night, because of so many ideas, we got a whole trilogy set up.
I met some people who were practicing one day in school. I was like, this is interesting because they have sticks that give out light. And I was like, that's interesting, I want to go see.
We're just a group of friends who share a love for Star Wars and who are also crazy enough to almost weekly meet up and swing with some lightsabers at each other. We do free fights, we practice some twirls, and sometimes we come up with choreographies which often lead to performances at a campus, or in this case, developing a short film.
We're adults. And every one of us likes Star Wars, sure, but there's a specific group of 2 that go apeshit about it. And for a lot of adults, sadly enough, the childlike thing of being an adult goes away the older you get. And then you get these 2 idiots who pick up Captain Rex minifig and go, wow, when looking at it, and that is lovely to see.
We have our usual meetings when we swing sabers every week, and we would just get the group together after every meeting, sit down in the house, and just with a cup of hot chocolate all sit together and discuss our ideas for the movies, and then narrow it down to, okay, now we have the overarching storyline for all 3 movies. Let's start working on the first one. Let's start getting the individual beats down better, and then you refine it, and every once in a while someone has a special idea.
There were a lot of meetings, right, to get the story straight, to see where the story would lead and what everyone would do, and a lot of practice, obviously, to get the choreos right.
And we listened to each other, it was great. Like, people wrote down their whole characters using Araki, the man who made JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. We used his character sheets to write down favorite food, who was his friends, what is he doing in his free time, it was great, and then we just discussed our characters, made up whole backstories, and no one's ever gonna know. But that's fine. Maybe we'll get the chance to talk to them someday.
Young also went location scouting, and then kept us up to date with all possible locations where we could film the project.
In Germany, in the Black Forest.
What I find the funniest about the locations is that in universe they might be maximum 1 kilometer away from each other, but in real life it could be 3 hours driving from the one location to the other. Just because we like this river better, or this forest was fun, or this was the only cave available. And when we did reshoots for the second movie, we went to a forest right next to my door that looked exactly like the forest where we did the final fights of darkness.
My character is called Aru. He's a Jedi Padawan, a very unorthodox one. He was one of 2 siblings who got chosen to be part of the Jedi Order at a very old age. and his sister got left behind. He's by many not seen as a Jedi. And then, right when everything is going pretty well, Order 66 happens, and my character and Amtek have to escape the Jedi Temple. They got help by a Jedi Temple guard and a clone captain.
There's a heavy difference in experience between the two main characters for these first two shorts. And even though his companion and him are very close to each other when it comes to age, he still feels responsible because he is the knight over the dude who's still a Padawan, even though they were close.
They are now stranded on a planet, crash landed there with a ship, and they're now heavily disagreeing on what their next course of action should be. Staying on the planet where it's safe and train until we're ready, or going off the planet right now to find more survivors, which is what my character wants. Amtek, on the other hand, is very thoughtful, very preserved, but also very frightened.
We have both fought in the Clone Wars, but we've dealt with it in different ways. For my character has lost, because of his fault, children. Children he was tasked with protecting. And he couldn't get every child out of that situation safely. Which has resulted in him becoming overprotective in a way, and in a way also to his own detriment. In the situation that he's in, he's right, and he believes he's right. But because of how he does it, how he handles it, he pushes the guy that he's trying to keep closer to him away. At least for a little bit. On a funnier note, and this kind of came automatically, he's also extremely sassy. He's a very sassy teacher. And honestly, that was just very fun to play as well. I think in total he can be described as a provider out of necessity, who doesn't necessarily know how to provide.
The Lady Inquisitor. She's a menace from afar. She's also not the strongest one physically, so it's more, it comes down to more like mental powers, and she gets in your head, quite literally.
So everything that happened in the second film is all because Aru didn't turn off his lightsaber in his anger. If he'd done that, everyone would be fine. But no, he had to stand on a cliff, be loud, swing with the lightsaber, and that's what got the Shepherd thinking, oh no, there's a Jedi on my planet.
Dun, dun, dun.
So blame Aru.
Filming the first two movies in 5 days.
I almost died.
What a great, amazing experience.
It was so fun.
Those 5 days were probably the most fun 5 days I've ever had at my home. Albeit also the most stressful 5 days I've ever had at my home.
It was very well planned out schedule-wise.
I got to get up at the hour I would like to get up, which is before the sun comes up. But I absolutely adored the first thing we did. Just like, hey, we ride 4 hours out of bed to the mountains, and that was great. Getting the drone shots there was absolutely stunning. The sun rising was like, whoa! It was lovely. And then we just sat there for 45 minutes, just breathing in fresh mountain air and just making sure our cameras didn't fall over for an hour.
Transport was provided by Jan.
Not only the only car owner, also the only one with a driver's license.
Choreographies were a lot of fun. There's a very specific one that I absolutely adored because I got to roll around in mud, leaves, and trees, and that is absolutely lovely.
We had a very clear idea of what the choreo should look like in the end, and then we kind of adapted it a little bit to the environment in the end.
Kunt jij wachten dat ik hier ben? Dan kan ik makkelijker vallen. I got kicked in the face. It sounds weird, being like, I love getting kicked in the face, but like pretending to fight, but making it look vicious and real. Wow, it's lovely.
The entire night fight that you see in the second part was filmed in a single night. We arrived there when it was already dark, and dark meant pitch black in the forest. All we had was our flashlights and the few light up lightsabers, and we've stayed there until 2 in the morning, I think, to film that. I had some emotional breakdowns along the way.
People were getting distressed. Shit wasn't going the way it's planned. It was hard.
Ouch.
Me being the editor, I always was thinking like, I want as much material as possible, but we couldn't always get it.
And if we had a worse crew, stuff would have fallen apart. But we had 2 people there, the 2 people in particular who were in severe distress, who just cranked each other up.
If we film the entire project with 2 hours per 10 seconds, we need 4 weeks. At least, we have one. So the speed of what we did here is actually good. It's gonna save you so much time in the edit, because you don't have 20 different camera angles for one scene. You just have 2.
And they work.
Yes. Think about it. We have about 5 hours of camera footage for 3 shots so far. Do you really want to work through all of that for the entire 12 minutes of the first 2 short films?
And like the rest of the crew supported them, and it was lovely and it was great. So even when shit, like everything went to fucking shit creek, it's okay. We got each other out. We apparently had a rope that was long enough, and everyone pulled if there was one dude who could barely reach the rope, which is great. It's lovely.
And if we have fun with this project, no matter what else is going on, that is what's going to show.
And it is physically exhausting, but the reward of doing it is so rewarding that the exhaustion doesn't matter, because you just get the energy back from doing it, and you're in a vicious circle. But this circle isn't necessarily vicious. It's great.
Oof, post-production. Well, that was something, wasn't it?
In retrospect, it was relaxed.
We had the deadline of May the 4th, and I was like, when do you want this released?
We still had schoolwork to do.
The pressure tore open my chest in front. But that's okay.
My part in it was mostly like the saber editing, so to make sure that it looked like an actual lightsaber and not to just have a stick that makes light.
For me personally, my tasks were all the digital scenes that had Unreal elements in them. So the entire Order 66 introduction, the shuttle crashing towards the planet.
Editing. I love editing. You have all this footage, now what can you make with it?
Voice recordings. Our microphones are ass. So we went back and re-recorded everything.
What's she doing?
I don't know.
Also some color grading.
Color grading went really fast.
And I ended up getting all the lightsaber sounds handed to me.
I also took care of the poster and the thumbnail.
Out of the blue, I was like, let's create subtitles in multiple languages.
In the entirety of post-production, the most exciting time was those last few weeks, where everything that we had actually finally came together, and all the post-processing that would enhance the quality, the lightsaber visual effects, the lightsaber sound effects, the other visual effects, the other sound effects, that it all just started trickling together and actually coming together. And slowly starting to realize that what you've done actually is really, really cool. That was probably the coolest part of all of post-production.
When we screened the short on campus, it was very uncanny because I've been just oftentimes sitting at home, just having panels, interviews with myself, thinking like, what would I say when I've made my movies?
I was relaxed. Because I had set the bar for myself, if 5 people showed up, I'd be happy. We got a little over 5.
It was so fun to like show it to friends, family, school members. Like, it was crazy because all my friends were like, yeah, you've been talking about this for a year. When are we gonna see this? And it was so nice that we could release it on May the 4th.
The reception we've gotten for it was so good. Most of the comments were super positive and hyped to see a continuation. And even the teachers had a lot of praise for us, which is very difficult to get at our university.
And that's pretty great. I'm glad people saw it. And all it did was make me especially excited to release the second one.
Stay tuned for the 3rd one. It's gonna be fun.
Our imagination that escalated one idea into a trilogy is still active to this day. We still come up with little stories that one way or another we wanna share.
Star Wars is such a good thing. It can bring people together all across the world, and I'm really happy to be a part of this community and really happy to be able to put my own little addition to this universe out there.
That's a wrap.